Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindful Muscle Podcast with my fabulous co host, Jodi. How are you today?
I'm great. If you're new here, welcome. Gio and I are two individuals who went on our own health and wellness journeys and collectively have lost and maintained over 140-pound weight loss. And we're a podcast for anybody on their fitness or nutrition journey, but our heart belongs to the beginner because we have been there and we want to show everybody, especially the beginner, that it is possible to make big changes to your health for the better and that we're worth the effort.
Yes, speaking of which, this past Saturday at my church, I showed them before and after photos of myself. And because people have been asking me, and one of the questions they asked me was, when did you start? They all assume I started this young, but with the pictures, it made it clear that I was a lot older. And so it's never too late to start. Jodi and I both started later on in life. And if we can do it, we're not anything special per se in the sense of we don't have any special powers, but we just determined that it was time and we made the changes. So, Jodi, let the audience know what we're doing today.
We are going to, I don't want to say game, but I guess you can say game. We're doing a little this or that wellness edition. I am going to throw some topics at Geo fitness, nutrition, mindset related, and we're going to say underrated or overrated. Now, if we think something's overrated, it doesn't mean we're against it either. And we'll chime in if we feel necessary to defend our stance. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right.
Jodi, so what's going to be the first topic? Let's go.
Category fitness progress goals.
Hold on.
Three.
Progress goals. Okay. They are underrated. Okay. All right. Why do you think they're underrated?
Because I think it's so easy for people to get hung up at the final big goal. Like maybe they
Yeah.
want to lose 50 pounds, but it's those little steps that help build momentum. I know we need to build discipline and it's not about motivation, but those
Hmm.
little steps of progress can really build up to big motivation to keep going.
Yes. I remember the first, when I was losing my weight, when I lost those first 10 pounds, I was like, yes, this is possible, right? I'm on the right track. And I was like, okay, it gave me more encouragement. I don't want to say motivation because I was going to crack this code one way or another, but it gave me more encouragement to keep going. And I knew that I was on the right path because the worst thing you could do is spin your wheels not knowing if you're headed in the right direction. But I was. So, yes.
Exactly.
So, what would you recommend to people? Would you have them write it down? I would write down what I wanted besides the main goal, right? Little steps,
Mhm.
mile markers, as I call them, little achievements. What would you say to somebody who's how to do this?
It's good for our brains to write it down and get that thrill of checking it off. I used to have a magnetic whiteboard that had my
Mm-hmm.
healthy habits on it when I was trying to build that habit up, like drinking enough water, getting movement,
Mm-hmm.
fiber, my caloric goals, and that thrill, that satisfaction of going that you did it is
Yeah.
it helps build that momentum.
And we've read books like Atomic Habits and other kind of books. They say what you don't write down doesn't get achieved. In essence, I'm paraphrasing, right? Write it down, journal. I've been into
Mm.
journaling now the last couple of years more consistently. In the past, I would do it on and off. Write it down. Write what you want to achieve, no matter how inconsequential it may seem. Nobody has to read it. You're not posting this on
Mhm.
social media. It's just for yourself to hold yourself accountable. Good one. Next one.
Mhm.
What's the next one?
I already know what you're gonna vote, but
Oh,
I'm gonna say it
mercy.
anyway.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Mobility work.
Oh, yes. Yes. Underrated for sure. Let me jump in there. Here's why it's underrated. It's because too many people, and unfortunately, family members of mine, without getting too specific, sometimes want to jump right into pull ups without any warm up or any
Mhm.
mobility throughout the week. You have to, especially as you age, you have to keep
Mhm.
the muscles nimble, flowing, so you can move when you need to.
Exactly. And it's still movement. I know it's not as exciting as lifting weights, but
Hmm.
I know the last couple of weeks I've been doing mobility work Thursday mornings because I don't know what wonderful workout the CrossFit Open's going to have Friday. And
Mm.
because I don't know, I want my body as prepared as possible so I can decrease the chances of getting hurt. I also notice that my squat depth gets better when I stretch and do certain movements beforehand.
It's wonderful for sleeping too. 5 minutes at night, right before bed, can really relax you. And my biggest day is on Saturdays, actually, right before I get ready to go to church and stuff. I wake up, do like a 10-15 minute just stretch, and it just
Mhm.
relaxes me right before I have to speak publicly or deal with a lot of people at church. And so it's good. Underrated for sure. Most people skip it, but don't skip it, especially as you age.
Next topic, walking pads.
Walking pads.
Oh, we finally have a
Yes.
different
Okay.
one.
Go ahead. You go first because I'm not quite sure now what you mean by walking pads, but go ahead.
They're like treadmills, but smaller. A lot of them can fit under
Yes,
desks.
that's what
So
I thought.
if you're living in an area that had a terrible winter, like
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, or you don't have much time in the day, I've been using my walking pad like crazy and
Hmm.
smashing my step goals and still getting stuff done, like catching up on emails.
Hmm.
I even came up with this list of over and underrated
Hmm.
topics on the walking pad. I think it's a perfect alternative if you can't get outside for whatever reason.
Okay. The reason, and now correct me if I'm wrong, to me, I enjoy a treadmill because a treadmill has
Mhm.
more versatility than a walking pad, which is why I think a walking pad is overrated because if you I know they're less expensive than a treadmill, but if you can just save up a little bit more and get a treadmill, you'll have more versatility. You could Mine goes up to 15% incline, I think it is, or is that speed? No, incline. And so more
Mhm.
versatility. A walking pad is just that. You really aren't recommended to run on it because it's
Right.
just for
I
walking and
wouldn't.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so now I've thought of getting one for underneath my standing desk, but then I
Mhm.
turned my treadmill into a standing desk.
No,
So
okay.
that's why to me overrated, but good.
This one is not too far different than the last question, but 10,000 steps a day.
Oh, yes.
Now,
Un-
we
Underrated. Go ahead.
now I know like for a while I know a lot of people think it's a marketing gimmick because that is what Fitbit and other step tracking
Mm-hmm.
devices have marketed, but it can be a marketing gimmick and be truth too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I also want it to be clear, if you're somebody that's struggling to get 5,000 steps, make your goal smaller than that. Make
Mm-hmm.
it 7,000 steps a day and build up. I don't want to feed into the all or nothing mindset. I don't want you to
Mm-hmm.
think that if you can't get anywhere near that, you shouldn't bother. Something is better than nothing.
The studies that I have seen say that anywhere between 8,000 to 12,000 is the sweet spot. So I just cut it in the middle, and I think 10,000 is the perfect sweet spot for me.
Yep.
And you're right. It is a marketing gimmick, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. In my field, right, where I teach the Bible, some people say, oh, because it's poetry, it can't be real. No, poetry can convey truth. So
Hmm.
it's that similar thing. Yes, I love the notion of 10,000 steps because you feel it at the end of the day, right? It's an accomplishment. Now, like Jodi did say, if you're new to this and you could only get 5,000, then make it 7,000, as she said, or even lower, 5,500. But build on it and do try to get to 10,000. Look, there's no saying that you can't be in shape without hitting the 10,000, but I personally think it's underrated. More people
Yep.
should try to go get those 10K.
Yep. Okay. And for the final fitness
Uh oh.
topic, body weight exercises.
Overrated for me. And I'm doing them now. Here's why they're overrated for me. And I know whoever's watching this who does body weight exercises, and they're going to kill me for this. But for me personally, I get bored for the constant repetition. And I know they say make it more difficult. But I am a person who's very busy. I would rather just do bench press or lift the weight, right? That forces you to stop at either 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reps than do 4 sets of 30 push-ups or 40 push-ups. To me, it's overrated. That doesn't mean you can't get in great shape. That doesn't mean you can't be buff. And it's too much time for the buck, I guess, for me. Your thoughts?
Not too far from you. Like, I don't want to do all body weight, but I think people underestimate, like, just because there isn't a weight doesn't mean you can't get an effective workout, especially in a situation like you, where you don't have your home gym and things have been crazy. It's still something that you can do with zero equipment. And I love that challenge. I know you don't want to do burpees, Gio, but right there, that's a body weight exercise that could really whoop you.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying you can't can't get ripped or even fit body weight. It's just, to me, it's not mentally stimulating. I'm not having as much fun as I am when I'm lifting weights. Last thing I'll say though, I saw a video a while ago that talked about what's easier to do, body weight or lifting weights. And I was surprised that at his conclusion, he was like, weights are easier. And here's the reasoning. If you're 400 pounds or 300 pounds, how likely is it that you can actually do push-ups?
Yeah.
But you can lift a dumbbell, even if it's only 5 pounds, even if it's only 2 pounds. So he was arguing that the path to entry is easier with weights than it is with body weights. Because how many people who want to work on their back can do a pull-up?
Exactly.
But you can do a lat machine even if it's only 5 pounds, right? So that
And
was
build up.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good one, though.
All right.
I'm liking
Next
this. We need to do this more often.
Oh, I didn't even get half the list on here. Like, when I was
Actually,
coming up
next
with these
time
on
we
my
do it, we'll
walking
do
pad.
it. Next time we do it, I'll pick the list.
Yes. Now for the nutrition edition.
Okay.
I already know what you're going to say for this one.
Mercy.
Fiber.
Yes. Underrated.
Definitely underrated, right? There's so many health benefits to decreasing your chance of a cardiovascular disease, certain types of cancer, diabetes, obesity, and it keeps you feeling satiated and full, which is important. I want to feel hungry on this journey. Nobody wants me hangry.
Yes.
So right there is a nice weight loss quote hack, because it'll keep you fuller longer along with protein.
And you mentioned that was my number one concern when I started losing weight. Am I going to feel hungry and overtly hungry? Look, I knew there was going to be a tinge, but there's no reason you need to feel overtly hungry while losing weight. And the key to that is get sufficient protein and get plenty of fiber. As we know, both Jodi and I are nutrition coaches. The average American only gets between 10 to 15 grams of fiber, when the recommendation for women is 25 and for men 35, 38, around there. I average between 70 and 100 grams of fiber a day, and it keeps you regular because you don't want things festering up in your colon and things like that. No, yeah, you can get diverticulitis, which can lead to a deep infection in your colon and things like that. One last thing, my wife being a doctor, she worked at a government clinic years ago, and people thought going to the bathroom once a week was regular because they did it systematically. That is not regular. You should be going to the bathroom at least once a day, if not more.
Hey, my lunch today was over 21 grams of protein. I'm quite proud of that.
Yes.
Bean dip with guac and
You mean
salsa
protein or fiber?
for fiber, but then I added chicken, so then I
Okay,
also
yeah, yeah.
added protein to it. So,
Yeah, so look at that. Yeah, there's no reason why you cannot or shouldn't get enough fiber. Even if you are, because there's no fiber in meat, but as Jodi just pointed out, she still had chicken and still had 21 grams of fiber. Beans,
mhm.
beans, beans, people. Go ahead.
Next topic, fat burner supplements. Overrated.
Yes, yes.
100%.
First of all, many of them are not regulated. The majority are not
Mhm.
regulated. So you really don't know what you're getting. And I had a friend of mine's wife end up in the hospital taking some fat burner supplements. Yeah, so overrated.
Yep. And a lot of them have crazy amounts of caffeine and they're overpriced. And I'm seeing a big trend where a lot of people are starting out their fitness and nutrition journey. And the first thing they ask before even
Supplement.
getting started is supplements and fat
Mm-hmm.
burners. You need to get the basics down. And you don't even, let's pretend for a minute that they worked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't they don't work, but let's
Yeah.
pretend they did. You don't wanna have to rely on something that costs a lot of money, where as soon as you go off it, it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Learn the basics first.
Yes. And if, yeah, I'm not even going to go there because then it's going to give, I was going to recommend one supplement, but that's creatine, right? But that's not
Mhm.
necessarily for fat burning. It's the only supplement that I would recommend to anybody to start.
Same.
If they're getting started and they want to supplement, creatine. That's it. Everything else, you want to be able to
Mhm.
be long term sustainable. Let's say it did work. XYZ fat burner works. Who's to say that company's going to be around 50 years from now? You
Yep.
want to be able to do things that you can sustain. The way I live my life, I could sustain it now at soon to be 52 as well as in at 92. So,
Yep.
yes, don't rely
And
on supplements.
And creatine is also one of the very few supplements that have been studied multiple times with favorable results. And that
Mhm.
is why I totally agree on that. Where fat burners, how many different companies are there? Who's regulating them? There's too
Come and go
many.
too.
Yep,
Just look at
exactly.
Amazon. You can find a dime a dozen.
All right. Eating 6 small meals a day.
Yes.
Overrated. It's one
Yes.
of those topics where not everybody's going to have the same outcome. Some might people
Mhm.
might prefer smaller meals a day.
Mhm.
I'm somebody that will snack less and has a better chance of staying within my caloric goals if I have bigger meals fewer times
Mhm.
a day.
Yeah, I eat 2 to 3 meals a day. Most of the time it's three, but sometimes life happens. I'm busy at work. And matter of fact, yesterday I only ate 2 meals because we woke up late. That stupid time change. That's overrated. I woke up late, so I had a brunch basically. I had to go
Mhm.
into my church office, and by the time I got back, it was 7 p.m. Trying to Hey, anybody in Oklahoma, why is it hard to find a pink number 4 balloon in Oklahoma? I stopped at 4 different stores. My daughter's birthday was on Tuesday. On Tuesday. And stopped at 4 different stores. Nobody had pink balloons. I had to get her a gold balloon. Mercy. All right, good.
Next one. Cheat meals or cheat days.
I
Overrated.
say underrated. It depends on the angle.
Really?
Yeah, it depends on the angle of how we're coming at it. This is how am I coming at it.
Okay.
If you have to indulge and break your calories, go ahead. Don't let it derail you. So that's what I'm thinking. It's okay to get off the rails every once in a while. I went off the rails on Wednesday by the time this airs because my wife for our birthdays in our family makes this fabulous cheesecake. But it has so many nuts in it that I think each slice is about 500 calories. So in that sense, I don't worry about it. So that's what I mean by underrated. I'm not going to worry about going off the rails one day. It's what you do
Mhm.
long term. How are you taking that question?
There's nothing wrong with special occasions and indulging, but there
Mm.
are people who schedule or they have 1 day a week or 1 day a month where they designate as their cheat day or
Okay.
cheat meal.
And they
And
undo.
because exactly, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's because they're over restrictive
Mm-hmm.
95% of the time that they go balls to the wall when they have those cheat days or cheat meals. And it's if you're less restrictive and work those little things into your nutrition, you won't
Mm.
need a whole day. And it could very easily turn into 1 day, 2 days, a weekend, and then you quit altogether without realizing it.
Yeah, we're basically saying the same thing, but coming from the different angles, right? I'm thinking like, no, enjoy your day. But yes, if you go the way Jody was saying, where then it becomes 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. Look, if like we sell it, we eat this cheesecake 5 times a year, and it's like thick, right? 500 calories per slice. However, that's 5 times a year. We're not
Yeah.
doing this once a week. And if you
Mhm.
eat out on Saturday night as your cheat day and you are only in a $3,000, calorie deficit, that going out to eat in a restaurant, you can make that up real quick. So you're not
Oh,
making
yeah.
any progress. So yeah, we agree. We just came at it from two different angles.
Which is important because a lot of people consider any type of indulgent cheating. And to me,
Yes.
cheating is when you are not following your plan
Mm-hmm.
at all. I don't think birthdays or special like holidays
Yeah.
count anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
there are people who schedule them regularly and I'm just like,
Yes. Yeah. Don't be scheduling regular cheat days.
ugh. All right, next one. Intermittent fasting.
Overrated. Here's why I say underrated because it's a good discipline tool, but it in it of itself is not going to cause you to lose the weight. But I remember it just gave me structure when I was losing the weight because I would eat 2 meals and then right before my
Mhm.
intermittent window fasting would close, I would drink a protein shake and that would hold me over. So it gave me structure. But intermittent fasting itself is not a magic pill, all right? But it gave me
Mhm.
structure. And that structure, I think it's underrated because a lot of people don't have structure and that's how they get off the
Yeah.
rails. So,
I know that intermittent fasting can really help people stay within their calories,
mm-hmm.
but I would say majority of the time I hear it suggest it for weight loss, there is zero mention of calorie deficit.
Yes.
And what people don't realize that if somebody has a bad relationship with food or they have dealt with binging,
Mm-hmm.
this will actually increase your chances of binging more because that's scarcity and then you wind up losing control.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a calorie deficit tool. I just don't like how frequently it's advised without the
Mm-hmm.
mention of calorie deficit. It is suggested like a magic pill in the forums or social
Mm-hmm.
media, and that's what I have an issue with.
Yes, and I agree with you. Like the reason I said it's underrated is because I think, as I mentioned, it could be a discipline tool. But Jody's 100% right. If you're not in a calorie deficit, if you're overeating in your eating window and thinking that the times you don't eat is going to cause you to lose weight, you're not. You're just going to be
Yep.
miserable. So, yes.
All right, final category, mindset and lifestyle. Scale weight as a progress tracker.
Okay, so this is a new scale weight as a progress tracker. Yes.
Overrated.
Overrated. Yes. Because I've seen people not lose any weight and yet transform their body. So if you weigh 170 and you look chiseled, or you weigh 170 and look flabby, does the weight matter? No. You'd rather look chiseled at 170 than flabby. Yeah. Don't use the scale as your only. It's overrated. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. It's one form of data. It should never be the only form of data, especially if you're lifting weights too. I went
Mm-hmm.
through a year between 2018 and 2019 where I kept gaining and losing the same couple of pounds here and there, and I only lost 11 pounds that entire year. But
Mm-hmm.
my face between the two pictures, night and day, different shape.
Mm-hmm.
Even my posture and my confidence in the picture
Mm-hmm.
transformed in a year. My shoulders are back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hiding behind a small child, and I'm definitely a different dress size between the
Mm-hmm.
two. But it was only 11 pounds. That's when I learned that you should include progress photos or measurements or non-scale victories. Those can be more telling than that number on the scale alone.
I like that you mentioned progress photos because a, a lot. And look, let me admit it myself. At the beginning, when I was on the Fitbod community page, I see all these pictures of people, yourself, Jodi, and I'm Jonica, and everybody else, and I'm thinking to myself, why so many photos? And then it dawned on me. It's not because anybody's vain about it. Progress photos keep you accountable. You
Mm-hmm.
will see the difference yourself before anybody else. And if there are adjustments that need to be made, make them. And look, take a lot of progress photos. Doesn't mean you have to post them anywhere, but for your own edification, yes. So the scale is overrated because you can weigh the same amount of pounds and yet look chiseled or look flabby.
Yep. All right. Fitness challenges like 75 hard. And just in case somebody's listening and they want to know what 75 hard is, here are some of the guidelines that you have to follow within a 75-day time period.
Mm-hmm.
You have to follow a diet. It doesn't matter which diet. 2 45-minute workouts per day. Must be outdoors regardless of weather. Drink 1 gallon of water daily, read 10 pages of a nonfiction or self improvement book, and take a progress photo every day. Yay!
Yeah.
Over.
Go ahead. Overrated.
I think that feeds the all or nothing mindset.
Mm.
And I've seen people in communities where they had to start over because on day 75, they forgot to take a picture.
Mm.
And I feel like we've had a past guest, Danielle LaRose, who wrote
Mm-hmm.
a book, 5 Days Healthy. And
Yes.
to me, that was more about building sustainable habits and being able to carry through beyond the 75 days. To me, these are so extreme that what happens on day 76?
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said there. It's about building sustainable habits. Look, if you're an adult like myself and Jodi, who are spouses, we have kids, we have life to deal with, staying disciplined alone just to work out can be challenging at times throughout the year. Why add certain difficulties above and beyond that serve no purpose per se is how I see it. Now, granted, if you want to do a challenge, that's different in the sense of like you did your fitness challenge last year because you wanted to see. I forgot what was it called
Mhm.
that you guys came in second place and first
Alpha
amongst
Wars?
women. Yeah. So if you want to train for something, that's fine. And so we're not saying it's bad to do this, but if it's going to cause you mental angst, yeah, definitely overrated.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely. All right, rest days.
Oh, yeah.
Underrated.
Yes, for
Do
sure.
do I
Let me.
like rest days? No, but we all need rest.
Yeah. And
That's
look,
how we're going to recover.
yes. And the memes that talk about muscles don't grow in the gym, they grow on rest days, right? You break them down and you stimulate them at the gym, but they grow on rest days. And when you feed them proper nutrition. And so, no, get a rest day. I personally take a rest day every Saturday, as others do it every some other day of the week. But it helps. It definitely helps not only mentally, physically, emotionally. I think they're underrated. The world is too stressed to begin with. Go ahead.
I will say that I know this was me, and I know this is a lot of people who say they don't like rest days.
Hmm.
There's this fear that you're going to revert into past habits
Yeah.
of not working out at all and
Hmm.
not prioritizing your health. Part of the journey is you have to learn how to trust yourself
Hmm.
and that these
And
habits are for good.
yes, yes, I like that. I like that. Learn to trust yourself. Another thing about rest days doesn't mean you're sitting on the couch eating potato chips and juju beans all
Mhm.
day. On my rest day, I do mobility work. I go out for a walk in nature, enjoy. I used to live in Sam Houston National Forest, and it's beautiful out there. So yeah, go out in nature, enjoy. Take a walk around a lake or a hike or something. Just do something relaxing. Get away
You'll
from
like
the
this.
routine.
Today is my rest day, and
Hmm.
I'm at over 11,000 steps, most of them done on my walking pad.
Mercy, girl. Not even midday. No, it's a little over midday. She's already at 11. Yeah, walking is one of those things that you can do whenever. And
Yep,
it is has its benefits, but it's not going to ruin a rest day.
exactly. We have two more, but I forgot this was on the list and you already tackled it, but I'm going to
Okay.
say it anyway. Tracking progress with photos. I
Underrated.
know
Yes.
I know it's uncomfortable, especially depending on where you are with your relationship with yourself. You might not want to take pictures, but
Mhm.
I wish that was something I was better at doing in the beginning. Most of my before pictures are vacation pictures where I didn't know somebody was taking my picture. And there's
Mhm.
one that I did a weigh in because it was required for a diet bet, but there's barely any pictures. Take the pictures, that'll show you how far you've come.
It's the same with me. Those I gained the weight from age 42 to 47. That 5 year span, I hardly have any photos. And some of the photos that I share in my before and after were taken by somebody else. No,
Mhm.
no, I was just, hey, get in the picture, and I got in the picture, but not. So I wish I would have had more photos during those 5 years where I gained the weight. It, I'd have more before and after photos than the ones I currently share.
All right, for the last one, mental health benefits from exercise.
Yeah,
Underrated.
underrated.
This
Yep.
is not us saying don't go to therapy or speak
Hmm.
to a professional if you need it. There's no shame in that. But absolutely, it helps me with my anxiety more than I thought imaginable.
One of the stories you share that I love is that uh, you remembered one day you were upset. I don't know if it was at your husband or a life
Probably.
situation. But this is a part I remember clearly, that when it dawned on you that instead of going to the refrigerator, you were going to the gym. You
Mhm.
realized how much progress you had made. And it's the same thing. I call my gym my fortress of solitude. There, I get to just grunt and push and just give the mind a break. I'm in a profession that is all mental, really, right? When you're talking about theology and God and the Bible and reading. And so sometimes you need that physical exercise. And it's underrated what it does for the mindset. And so get exercise, even if it's just walking, and even if it's just getting to those 10,000, start there. But it's underrated as to what it does for your mental health. And I like how you pointed out that's not saying don't go to a therapist, don't go to a professional. But if you are exercising, you will benefit more from your therapy session if your
Mhm.
mind and your body are relaxed from extraneous workouts. So it will even enhance your therapy session.
Exactly. And there's so many times where I'm like, I really don't feel like working out because I'm in a bad mood. I feel terrible.
Hmm.
I feel anxious. And there have been times where I feel 100 times better than before. And I'm like,
Yeah.
thank goodness I went through with it. When we were dealing with quarantine with the pandemic, I'm not shaming it, whatever anybody chose to do during
Hmm.
that historical, terrible time.
Yes.
But One of the reasons I kept up with working out because I already felt terrible mentally during that
Hmm.
period, and I know that if I don't work out consistently, that has a negative effect on my mental health, and I didn't wanna do anything to make myself feel worse than I already did.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. That's when I began my journey and I haven't looked back. It was during the pandemic and I'm glad there's a silver lining to it. I don't know if I would have started my journey had that year not kept us all inside. And as I've mentioned in the past, I got most of my equipment that I needed right before everything shut down. My Peloton, my cable
Yeah.
machine, all of that. And so I'm glad. Get the exercise. It's great for the mind.
Absolutely, and if you agree with Gio or me on some of these topics, feel free to chime in and comment, or let
Mm-hmm.
us know what other underrated or overrated topics we should tackle next time, because we will probably do this again.
Yes, yes, I really enjoyed this. So, Jodi, thank you for bringing this up and doing it. Like I said, we'll do it again. Perhaps we'll get a guest to join us and do it.
Absolutely.
Overrated, underrated. As Jodi said, until next time on the Mindful Muscle podcast, be blessed. Fun episode.